The history of educational assessment in the Philippines was shaped by the contribution of experts in line with research, government policies on educational development, universities to produce competent experts, and professional associations that provide a venue for experts to promote knowledge. And today, our group will give you a broad overview of the history of educational assessment. Let me start in the early years. The early years enumerated the pioneering studies on educational assessment in the Philippines and government policies that were made. The assessments conducted in the early years were mostly mandated and are commissioned by the government. The focus of the assessment was on the implementation of education in the country. Most of the studies are usually headed by foreign counterparts, such as the UNESCO, Monroe, and Swanson Survey. The second part, the representation of the history of assessment, is on the contemporary period and the future directions. Aside from the government initiatives in funding and conducting surveys that applied assessment methodologies and processes, the government also practiced testing since 1924. National level tests were also given from 1960 to 1961. On the other hand, private organizations like Center of Educational Measurement or CEM and the Asian Psychological Services and Assessment Corporation or APSA also contributed by spearheading the enrichment of assessment practices in the Philippines. The Fund for Assistance to Private Education actually started with guidance and testing programs in 1969. It started with the College Entrance Test or CET from 1971 to 1972. The National College Entrance Exam, commonly known as NCEE, was designed by FAPE in collaboration with the Department of Education, Culture and Sports, or DEX, that served to screen fourth-year high school students who were eligible to take a formal four-year course in college. In 1978, FAPE institutionalized an independent agency called the Center of Educational Measurement or CEM that undertook testing and other measurement services since then. Since 1960, the CEM developed tests focused on education like the National Medical Admissions Test or the NMAT. In 1982, demands for testing were high, both in the educational and industrial setting, which led to the creation of the Asian Psychological Services and Assessment Corporation, or APSA. The APSA was originally a test for basic education, extended its services for testing in the academic setting because of the felt need for quality educational testing in the private sector in 2001. In conclusion, there are numerous forces that shape the field of educational assessment, measurement, and evaluation. With the Philippine Psychology Act, the educational assessment is carefully delineated with that of psychologists specifically in assessment in schools. Recent studies produced so far the future of educational assessment, measurement, and evaluation using mathematical models in item analysis. Filipinos are making their names in the international scene.